unfortunately, because of the flooding, all get
So behind me is the Alhambra, which is this palace complex in Granada. As you can see, it's at the top of the hill, and that's the north face. And then underneath it is the river, and then opposite it is the old town. I'm staying in the new town, which is kind of that sprawl over there. But if you're a backpacker or if you're visiting, don't do what I did. Stay in the old town. The old town has got all the cute narrow streets and all the interesting bars and restaurants and shops. If you're going to do the Alhambra, it's an all-dayer, so it's a big old thing. You need to book in advance, and if I were to do it again, I would get a private tour. I'd get somebody who knows the site and knows the best bits to see. Now, I'm quite a fan of Muslim architecture, Muslim decoration. The only problem is that once you've done the first 5 rooms, you're like, oh wow, that's amazing. By the time you've done the next 25, it kind of wears off a little bit. So I think that actually having a guided tour who can give you some context and who can give you some of the history would be definitely worth doing. Then you had the Inquisition. Nobody expected that. So firstly, to my Muslim pals, Assalamu alaikum. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. And it's good to have you along for the show. So I really like Islamic art and architecture. I love the geometric patterns, the polychromatic tiling at the bottom, and this really fine, intricate plasterwork. And within the Alhambra, it is this mix of plasterwork, carved marble, and carved woodwork. And this is the Nasrid palaces, and what you get is room and then courtyard, and then another room and then a courtyard. All of the columns are wood with plaster, and during its long life it got pretty beat up. Napoleon's forces were there, the Brits were there during the Napoleonic Wars, there were squatters there, and it was only pretty late on, really, in the 1800s, that people started to realise its architectural and historical value. This running water, of course, is a sign of wealth and affluence. This is the Palace of the Lions. That fountain in the middle is held up by the lions, and this really intricate work. Now, the problem is, though, is that as I said at the start, it's absolutely beautiful, but then you get to the next room and it looks very similar, and it gets to the next room and it looks very similar. And I think that's because there's no context to it. And I think if you had a guide could give you a lot of context and tell you exactly what each room was for. The other thing, I mean, look at that for a roof, that beautiful roof. The other thing about Islamic art is that there's an absence of depiction of human forms, and that's out of respect to Muhammad. So whereas in Christian and Catholic historical locations, you often get saints and you get, the various religious icons. In Alhambra, they were kind of hidden away. So this was one that was in the roof, and there was another mirroring one too. Very well done. Spectacular, just the amount of effort. Now, I don't know whether you've heard of Washington Irving. He was a American writer. Sleepy Hollow. This is the view going north, and so can you remember where I started this? If you look at that church at the top left, that's where I started the video from. And then, of course, in the old town, you get these narrow streets. It reminded me a little bit of Disney World in that it's 200 shops selling exactly the same thing. But no Spanish city of any respect wouldn't have a massive Catholic cathedral. But tourists aren't universally welcome. Romans leave the house. Anyway, Masalam. If you like it, please like and subscribe. Take care.